Welcome back. Time is 7:14. Tax season is officially upon us, and for the thousands of new sports gamblers across North Carolina, it'll be the first time navigating the system with their wins and their losses.
Yeah, North Carolina officially launched legal sports betting last year, and by December, bettors waged more than $5 billion.
Our Queen City News chief business correspondent Taylor Young joining us this morning. Taylor, there could be a lot of surprised tax bills for sports bettors out there this year.
Absolutely. So unlike a real game of football, losses don't really matter in the eyes of the state. So while winnings are and have always been reported as taxable income, there is sort of this misconception that money lost while gambling could actually lower how much you owe. But in the state of North Carolina, that is not the case. So as we already know, online sports gambling became legal in March. This sparked a wave of people who may have not gambled prior to start constantly placing bets directly from their phones. It's easy, it's quick, and has led to $590 million in winnings in December alone that unfortunately do come with a catch. So unlike on the federal level or in other states, North Carolina does not give bettors the option to itemize and deduct their losses. This means those who sports bet will face a 5.25% tax on their winnings, even if they break even. I spoke with an accounting professor who's been trying to warn bettors of this since April.
So if we're going to just use a simple example, you over the course of the year, you win $10,000 and you lose $10,000. So in your FanDuel account, you have, $0, right? Everything you bet, you lost. You didn't lose any additional money beyond that. So in our normal world, we'd say, okay, you broke even, great. And you could deduct your losses, you don't have to pay any taxes. But in North Carolina, you would actually owe $450 just because you won that $10,000 before you then lost the $10,000.
Yeah, so you heard it broken down right there. Unfortunately, potentially a lot of people will be surprised by how much they owe.
Wow.
So given that North Carolina is one of the few states that's actually kind of pushing for this, has there been a push for sports bettors maybe to be able to file differently in the future?
Yeah, so there has been, and I will say at one point, the state of North Carolina did have this miscellaneous itemized deduction. The legislature actually got rid of it in 2015, years prior to sports betting actually being legalized. But now that it is legal and as popular as it is, there is a push right now to kind of bring that back. Unfortunately, for the people who would really depend on that, the House of Representatives have not taken it up, so it stands where it is right now.
Well, so that's going to be a big learning curve for people
It
this year.
is.
With your taxes, you're always adjusting. What can people keep in mind or should keep in mind for next year? Because unfortunately, the sports betting is kind of a hard habit to break for some people.
Yeah, it is. I think the number one thing is keeping track of your winnings, right? Because as of right now, where the legislation stands, you can safely assume that you are going to be taxed on your winnings at 5.25%. So really at that point, it's just kind of where are you comfortable in terms of how much you're going to pay on taxes. But on top of keeping track of your winnings, also the location of where you're placing bets. So all of these online sports books have geolocation, and a big part of that was to make sure that you are gambling in a state where it's legalized. But also keep in mind, if you're taking a trip out west and maybe you have a connecting flight in another state, if you're kind of sitting in the terminal and looking over your bets and you place a bet, you could end up actually owing taxes in that state as well. So
wow.
It's very easy to accidentally kind of rack up all of these taxes if you are unaware of your winnings and where you're placing bets.
Wow.
Okay, I'll have to look over my $70 very carefully.
There you go.
Listen, you don't gamble with the IRS. Do not gamble with the IRS.
They will
is true.
always come calling.
That's right. The house always wins. All right, Taylor, thanks. Appreciate it.